message on my mobile phone appeared that I am live, and today a couple of things failed. This failed, which is a recorder, voice recorder, and GoPro camera failed. It's out of battery, and my mobile phone, which is now doing the live stream, is also out of battery. And I am recording with another camera right there, with another microphone, just to record this, just to make sure that something is being recorded. Already 7 viewers instantly. Now that's magical. Okay, so it's all about, I will just sit down here and be comfortable with this. Hi. And about Earth history. And I'll try to be brief because mobile phone is only 60%, and doing these live streams it takes a lot of power. So yesterday we started a channel about Earth's history, which basically is a continue up to the Mars channeling. And just to start talking about this amazing information, for me amazing, I don't know, I channeled for maybe 2 hours or so, and I was so dizzy before we started to do channel, because I already know that tomorrow we will be channeling next to those friends, with those friends which I have. And what happened was I was so dizzy, and then we started to channel about, at the beginning we was starting to question about the Mars, but we got to a point where we started to chat about the Earth's history, and then the Enrico started to sharing lots of information about the Earth's history. Now the channeling overall, it was a 2 hours long video in Latvian language. It's in the camera. I think we can do a live stream about just translating that channeling, just interpreting it. So I think it will be a 4-hour marathon of translating that information. Now if you agree to that, you can just write it down on comments. I will check it later. I will just go through in my case, the most interesting information which I remember. I will try to go through it as far as I remember, but the most interesting thing was, it was non-stop talking. It was just non-stop talking. And after that, channeling, completely no thoughts for me, which is strange, because normally if you talk a lot, there are so many thoughts afterwards. But after this channeling, I just went into a complete no thought state, and I was like, this is something not usable. But the thing is, I know that it helps to, because when the channeling starts, I need to jump off my personality, my own thoughts, for the information to come through. So in a way, either the beings or myself just switch off to no thought state, and that thing was, for me, was interesting. So anyway, about the information, so continue up was about a complete Earth history, in simple words, in simple way, a complete Earth history in simple way. And still today I'm like no thought state. I'm like, okay, was it valuable, was it not? I'm not sure, but I think I need to talk about this, just to share it, and then just forget about it. So Earth at the beginning was a really small planet, and how the beings said, a baby planet. And this is the first cycle of the Earth, and it was only water planet. And it was they said 5 times smaller than the planet Earth. And this planet needed to went through certain cycles of its own evolution. They said that the planet is a conscious baby, as they said at the beginning, was like a conscious baby, you would say it. And many beings were watching them, and this is something like a Greek gods or Roman gods or something. They look the same, but basically advanced, spiritually highly advanced human-like beings were watching this planet and watching it closely. And they say, in comparison, like babies, as they are watching, like a mother is watching her baby, and they start to see, the first teeth come out, the first hair start to come out. They were watching this planet. and there was a period of time when there was only water, and they said that at first inner Earth core started to grow out rocks, like crystallize out rocks, building up the Earth's core. And it started to build up, and it started to turn into like lava type of magma type or something. And in other words, Earth started to grow, but still everything was underwater. Earth started to grow, and it started to create volcanoes that started to rise above the surface of those waters. And they said that also Earth's atmosphere wasn't, I don't know, what's ozone layer or something, I don't know. But anyway, the sunlights could easily smash through the Earth's atmosphere. And because of that, what happened is that the water was completely different than the water we have right now. And the solar rays on the solar particles that came from the sun started to crystallize. When I saw the water, I saw these particles coming through, and the water started to like a bubble, and crystal shards of crystals started coming out, small piece by piece crystals. And also, as I remember, they said atmosphere was starting to create also from this, but diamonds and crystals started to appear from this and drown down in the water. But they say also they started to boil, and not like boil, but like to a little bit boil out and creates the atmosphere. And also they said that the volcanoes created the atmosphere. The volcano dusts from the volcanoes went up in the atmosphere and then lowered down back on the surface of the water. And it was like a inhabitable place by then. And what else was, they said that there was a huge volcano eruption or something, that the overall surface of the planet Earth was covered with dark clouds. And in a sense, what happened was it turned into ice planet. It turned into icy ice planet. So in other words, the sun was blocked and the water overall turned into ice. And or was it a little bit later? But anyway, I have it all recorded down in Latvian, so it will not disappear any place. We can do just a sharing of this. But anyway, what happened next was when it turned into ice, afterwards the ground surface later on started to appear above the water later, but it was soft ground, really soft ground, that if you put your feet down to it, it will start to like squeeze like in deep mud inside. So thank you for the 2 likes already, much appreciated. So it started to sink. Your feet will just start to sinking the soft ground. And when the first surface appeared, as they said, Earth is conscious. It's a conscious being. Like a girl, you would say, like a mother, and it started to grow out, like they said, extremities. It's something like, to me, understood that Earth started to grow its own consciousness plants outside. They were like maybe water type of plants, really high, thin, like straws, that inside there's only water of these straws, and it's transparent. They're also transparent, but it's like you never seen them anywhere before. There's just like, imagine just like without any roots, a plant that it's like a straw, you can see it through, and it's like incredibly silly, to other words. And mainly they grow inside the water. They don't grow inside the ground, the soft ground that was grown. And these are like extensions to the planet's consciousness. And they said that this is something different because they were planet's extended consciousness, like Earth's planet extended consciousness. It's like a part of the Earth that was growing out. They said, to comparison, that the plants we have right here now are individual consciousness, you would say, individual self-aware consciousness, you would say, all these plants that are here. But those who are the planet's Earth extremities, like extensions. I don't know. It's basically when you look at that plant, you know that's the Earth. It's not a separate flower or something. That's the Earth consciousness. And what happened then, there was lots of information I don't recall a lot of it. I will just go into breathers. So what happened afterwards, these plants started to grow and grow and grow and start to stabilize the overall Earth's atmosphere, because they said that the Earth's atmosphere was crazy. It was crazy. It was windy, huge waves. It was like crazy all the time. Because also what I understood from that, what they said from the channeling was that Earth didn't had an orbit. Earth was rotating incredibly to many directions. It was more like an infinite loop to all the directions. Now we have like Earth axis is a little bit fixed, you would say, like this. Earth rotates something like this in the solar orbit, but it was rotating like crazy. They didn't have these axes over which it rotates. So, and what happened then is it created so many evolution cycles that the Earth went through. From nowadays it's like a complete waterish planet. Then it was a complete volcano eruption planet, which created these dusts that lowered down. Then after the ice age, it turned into soft surface Earth, because the Earth was growing and expanding. And from one point, the ground started to appear over the Earth, and then it started to grow out like the Earth's consciousness extensions to the Earth's consciousness extensions as plants, which was the same Earth itself growing these. And then at the next period, what happened, I'm not quite sure what was the next period what happened, but when these huge plants started to appear, like maybe kilometer wide, but there was only a small part which was above water, and many times it was washed away due to the polar shifts, but there were no polarity to them. They was like consciously rotating in ecstasy. And in a while, because of these huge plants that were growing there, this overall Earth's climate stabilized out comparison to the situation that was prior to that. And then these godlike beings started to not like inhabit, but started to take more seriously a look to this planet, because it went to the first cycles and it became like a little bit like a stable planet. And then they started to I'm really sorry if I mess up a little bit periodically, because I know there's in the camera much more information, but still it's an overall complete history, overall basic or a simple history of the Earth. And then these godlike beings, these godlike humans, started to plant in, as they said, controlled biological individual things, plant life, which at that plant life, which was before that time, was Earth extensions, and they were uncontrolled plant life. They could grow like a kilometer high and kilometer wide. It's like unlimited and huge, and like a jungle type of a plant. I saw a huge big leaf, just a huge big leaf, maybe size of a skyscraper that was there, and they growed like this, and it helped to reduce winds, it helped to reduce the climate, and it created also shadows on the ground to stabilize the overall surface of the Earth. And so these godlike beings came here, and but they didn't inhabit this planet. They started to came here to create the environment as controlled biological plant life, you would say. A controlled biological plant life is a plant life that is individual. It follows a certain pattern in its growth. Like it's like a controlled. It's like it grows fruit. Its size is controlled. It's how was it? Its size is controlled. But basically, what I understood from that channeling, that information was that these incredible plants, they can grow whatever they wish, but these plant lives are a controlled, smart, controlled engineering system that grows a tree in a certain size, and that tree follows a certain program which is necessary. And they said they started to build up these controlled plant lives for the first steps, which was to create a stable soil for the Earth. And the beings just stopped and said, all black soil dark soil which we have here in Latvia, for example, the black soil, is an artificially created soil for these advanced controlled individual plant lives. As trees and flowers and so on, they're individual, and it was a program created that these plant lives inhabit and expand throughout all the planet and create a soil. What I understood from soil was that the next plant lives need to have a soil which is rich with air. It's like irrigated soil, and which isn't pure water as such, which isn't just a clean water. It needs to be dry soil or wet controlled soil. Therefore you need like a adjusted soil, and these first created controlled plant lives, controlled like with a controlling mechanism built in. The purpose was them to spread all over the planet and to create a stable soil for the next plant lives that should be arised and delivered here. And they started to create these first plant lives as trees that they die and they spread and they go out through the planet, and they create this soil, this overall soil, which was which was covering all over the planet. And still Earth was without orbit, and Earth was without at that point Earth was without these polarities, and Earth was only green and water planet, which huge area of the planet was covered only by water. And then at the next point what happened, there was a time when the first beings, like they said in a joking way, like Adam and Eve from the books that you read, they came as first genetical chassis on this planet, and they were genetically engineered to live on this planet. And that was an amazing experience when the first humans stepped on this planet. But soon and really quickly they went away because they realized that the climate is not suitable for inhabiting. It's completely not suitable for inhabiting because it was so changing. It was like a dangerous climate. It was like huge waves, winds, everything like completely changing. And what they did, these godlike beings decided that we need to make a climate which is adjustable and is more stable for these first inhabitants that could be living here. And they created a smart, intelligent climate environment, what they created. And still Earth was without polarity then. They created huge mountains. What I saw was like, it's like one continent, one not very big continent, maybe the size of Europe, like such a continent. They created a huge mountain, and they created plant lives. And what did they create was artificial clouds, and not like artificially, but artificially they created the environment that produces clouds. And what they said, they produced, because of these clouds, they produced also these this climate was created to have clouds and to have lightning on it and to have rain. And this was artificially created, understanding the energy of statical energy from the sun rays and statical energy from the clouds that have the statical energy. And this was due to several purposes. First of all was that the rain rains down and covers most of the area on the surface, because there were not so many rivers then. They created rivers, but they still needed these how you call it, when the rain covers the areas with water, like artificial wetting system, so the trees that grow in the lands still have this water, and this was artificially created. And also what they created was this statical energy, that it gives bursts to the cycle of the plants to start kicking out leaves, to give these plant lives a kick out, because when a thunder happens, I understand that a certain level of energy is being pressed down, and high amounts of energy from the inner earth is being like sucked up through the plant lives, and they start to grow much quicker. It's like a first start, they start growing. It's like a kickstart to start growing in spring. And they created this artificial climate, which is basically supporting the overall plant life and the environment and the climate in this earth territory, creating, and the purpose for them was to create an environment that is capable of long-lasting climate. And after it was created, now the first beings started to come to Earth to live. These first human genetical, it's not human, it's something different, but it's pure human. I would say we are hybrids, but they were pure human beings started to live here. And I try to memorize what was the scenario, but we will go also to the times which in nowadays. So it will be quite a long video for you to watch, and I think an hour at least. To listen, exactly, not watch, to listen. So now these first genetical humans started to live. They started to inhabit. There was a mixture of information which I could not recall right now, because when I woke up from the channeling, it was like, hey, what happened? And it's like 3 or 2 hours passed, and like, oh, really? And I was like, after that no thought state, and I'm just trying to recall that information. So I remember also they said something about the first beings that live here were birds, and then were migrating animals, and their purpose was to carry out these seeds from one area of the earth to another area of the earth. And it was mainly created so that the seeds and plant life can travel with those animals to another area of the planet. So it was specially designed to spread out the seeds. Like the overall continent must be inhabited by these artificially created plant life. It has to be spread out. It has to grow everywhere to stabilize the continent, to stabilize the planet Earth for its inhabitants, future inhabitants. So it was a huge cycle, and they said that when the Earth reached the next cycle, it was ready for inhabiting because it was a stable cycle. And when I when I remember Pleiadians also were talking that the Earth is really valuable because it has went through a long period of these cycles. What were these cycles? Then I remember another information, which was when these godlike beings also from the Mars was a green planet also, and this Phaeton planet which erupted and exploded somewhere in the next scenario. These beings also came to live on Earth from the Phaeton and from the Mars, and they decided that this is a nice place, although it's a dangerous place because of the environment, changing environment, but it's a really nice place, and it must be created, and it must be taken care of for its future evolution. Because what I understood, the planet has to be taken care of because it can also, the climate can destroy itself. Not like destroy itself, but went through a destruction, and then another 100,000 years or so to like get it back as it was earlier. So it has to be taken care of. It's not like it could be destroyed, but not like destroyed as complete destruction, but it could be went through, like for example, if you don't take care of your garden, what you have, then after several years it will be just grown out and completely no use of it. So you have to be taken care of so the climate doesn't change everything dramatically from what it was. To make the Earth's evolution to inhabitable and a stable and advanced climate from the future, something as we have right now. So talking next, there was this story that also these, but it was a little bit later. These godlike beings came here and were living here, and they came to a point. Huge fires started to happen in some continent of the planet, and they were now having a discussion, and this is where their opinions started to change in the society what was living there. There were not many beings living there. There were mainly cosmical beings, and the division started to happen in those plans which they had. One group said that this is the evolution of the Earth and it should go in the direction whatever the Earth is going, although maybe half of the planet is burned down. And the other were saying, no, we have to do something about this. We have to create polarity of the Earth. Because what I understood, the sun was so strong in one period of the continent, and it created deserts, because everything burned out, just complete deserts there. And prior to this, there were no deserts. There were only green and water lands. No deserts, no rivers. Also, really, really small rivers that just went down from the mountains, from the single mountain what was there, which I saw. So, and they decided that we need to create a polarity to the planet, and to have these all three environments: ice, green lands, and deserts. And they started to figure out, and this was the diversity started to happen, because one group was, okay, it's Earth's evolution, it has to go its evolution period, and one said, no, we have to assist the Earth and create a polarity. And afterwards they created polarity, and what I understood, the polarity created also after effects, side effects, you may say. What I understood, they created a polarity. For example, this microphone right here is the Earth. Earth spins something like this, for example, and the polarity was created here, 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 and here. And what happens if you have this, when you spin, and it spins and does something like this, and at one point it falls down. I don't know how it's called in English, I don't remember, but or maybe I have never known, I don't know. And the Earth does like this, it spins, but previously it wanted to spin crazy like, but when it spins, it shakes a little bit. It wants to fall to a side, but the energy field kicks it back, and it creates a small polarity shift like this, and a vibration. And because of this, the earthquakes start to happen. It tries to balance out, an earthquake starts happening. It tries to balance out, an earthquake starts happen, because these polarities fix in a certain axis. This Earth, and they created this polarity with pyramids, with the Giza pyramids. They many times said this polarity was created with the Giza pyramids, and it's much older, because at the beginning when they were built, the pyramids were in green grasslands, and after those polarity shifts, they shift the poles in a way that those burned out deserts, which were burned out, remain in the equatorial area, and those green grasslands, remember, to save the environment, they decided to shift the polarity to this period, to that angle, you would say. And this, when several beings went away from the planet, because it was they put it into an artificial environment. They started to put it in, and many beings were for the evolution process to go on. So this they created as an artificial. They started creating it artificially, like interrupting the Earth's overall evolution. So what happened next was, then at that point, many beings decided, yeah, but we want to live there and carry out the evolution of the Earth. And then these Atlantean small beings, Nordic type of the beings, came from Mars. First of all, they went back to the Mars. Then they came from Mars back to there. Smaller beings, ears like this, eyes sharper like this, cheeks sharper also like this. And they came here to live in this environment. Although I know that there's much more detailed information in that camera in Latvian language, but still I just go through the overall. And they started to live here. I remember that there was another pole shift which they created, or maybe this was the pole shift created, because when they came to a cross that they need to have this polar shift, many things on cities drowned because of the polar shift that they created. So what I remember is, because of that polar shift, the Atlantean city, which they have created, the ancient city, just drowned below the water, and the next continents arise from the water. So anyway, the Atlanteans, I need to check the camera for this. The Atlanteans, which came down to this Earth, they accepted that those beings were like, yeah, we accept the evolution, we accept what will ever go on, will go on, we accept it as a part of continue up evolution of the Earth, so we accept to be here. But these first beings, these godlike beings that came here, they went away because they thought it's like a little messed up, everything is a little messed up. They went away from this planet, and they started having this conflict on their own planet, which was the Phaeton planet, the fifth planet in our solar system, which has only meteorite belt left over. They starting to have this conflict, like diversion of the society, and they they were having also another conflict with another dimension or another universe what was out there, and because of these conflicts that were arising, they decided that we need to leave the solar system. They went away from this solar system, they left this solar system, but many beings also on Mars and also on planet Earth stayed. And when these other dimension beings blew up the Phaeton, the planet Phaeton, there were so many crazy things started to happen on Mars, which I talked about in previous video, which I will not share it right now just to save time and the phone battery. But what happened afterwards? The planet Earth was not inhabited anymore. Many things drowned. There were many continents were burned out, and then came these how was it called? Anunnaki. They said that then came the many invasion races. Like Mars was destroyed by this invasion insect type of race, but on planet Earth there was a different scenario. These genetical races came that are here to take geneticals, but it was a little bit later. Before that, after the explosion, planet was left, and there were many still beings living here, many different beings. Like they said, something like a yeti, something like a bears, and something like a furry coated, something like monkeys, what I understood, and also birds, and also something like mammoths and dinosaurs. But then came these. Because when the Phaeton exploded, this was a free solar system. These three leftover planets were left without anybody to control them, without anybody having them, because these beings, these superhumans, these godlike humans, left the solar system and went back to their own planetary system. And what happened here on Earth? There were so many immigrant races that came here, and they were from one to different. There were so many different. And the Enrico said, whenever there are two different or several different races, they sooner or later start a war with each other, because they have different perspectives, they have different genetics and so on. They sooner or later start a war with each other. And that's what started to happen, that this overall territory was used as a war zone between many races. Like they said there were thousands of races. And what I remember from the ancient pyramid drawings, which I have seen somewhere, what I recall is that they have bird-like beings, they have crazy-like beings, looking like beings, several crazy-like beings living there. And what I understood, that was the point, not really long ago, like 30,000, 50,000, maybe 100,000, 300,000 years, not so long ago, they were living like many beings, and they were warring with each other. Sooner or later they started a war with each other, and just to protect these, and at the beginning it was a genetical experiment between those many races, because there were another race that came here, was understood, I am not sure because I never read any books about it, but they repeated because they have heard prior in channeling, somebody was talking about Anunnaki, and they were talking about this Anunnaki. They came here as a genetical farmers, you may say, as a genetical experiments. They took these genetical leftovers that were here on this planet, and Enrico talked about one huge benefit that they got from this planet, because I understood this is the benefit of these genetical farming races. Enrico showed me that when they came, they were free on this planet. They took so many genetics and they benefited from them. They started to take these empty, biological robot beings that were used for inhabiting other planets, remotely controlled. And they said the biggest benefit what they found on these smart quantum technological plant lives and genetical lives that are here, they were created with this, I don't know what this cell is, I have never seen it before. It looks like this, and it has a core inside, imagine like this, and a core inside, and one antenna. This is a cell. They found these immigrant races found this cell on plant lives, and they discovered that it's a highly advanced computer technology. It's a highly advanced cell-to-cell communication technology. And what they said, they realized this, that it's a self-controlling mechanism, because what I said at the beginning, these controlled plant lives, and they were these created controlled plant lives. And what they discovered was that you can use it as consciousness or semi-consciousness beings, or remotely programmed consciousness beings. You can use this cell, and we consist a lot of these cells, and these plant lives also have like a lot of these cells inside. And the cell, it communicates with other cells in the biological control mechanism. And Enrico said basically it fulfills the function as, imagine a mother is looking outside of the window. She says, okay, I have 3 kids outside the window playing. And then after a moment she looks again, okay, I have 3 kids outside of playing. And at one moment she looks, okay, now I see only 2 kids, one has gone somewhere. And these small cells then instantly communicate with other cells in our organism, or in plant-like organism, and they create some kind of a program or a recovery state. Where did the kid go? For example, it controls that our cells spread, grow controlledly, and they check whether it's growing correctly, and adjust to this growing program, which is built in this small cell. And what these Anunnaki creatures, what they did, they started to creating biological robots, because they understood that this cell can be like a quantum processor that can controls and can be programmed like a remote server. So a biological beings can be empty without a soul, and can still consciously grow and be on other planets, like with soulless beings, you would say, but controlled. And they also said they can be used as with beings who have soul, and they are controlled with these like small computers, these beings. So, and it was a huge benefit for their civilization, these Anunnaki, which many other civilizations started to war against or for these technologies that can be found on this earth also. These godlike beings that created everything here, like oranges and apples and so on and so on. It's a controlled, multi-controlled mechanism, like a computer-controlled mechanism that allows to use the environment to create such a highly advanced thing as a fruit, for example. We consider just a fruit and so on. And that's when they started to create these genetics and experimenting on this genetics, created many races here on Earth. And after a while they started war, and these godlike beings that lived here, they could not come here anymore, but they went to another super race somewhere, I don't know where, but they came here with the moon orbital station. And this moon orbital station created this Earth as a neutral zone. They allowed these Anunnaki type of genetic farmers that were there to be on this moon, and they had only this one wish: continue the Earth's evolution, allow to Earth evolution to freely and continually expand its own evolution. And then these overall things was just wiped out. What was here, it was taken away, and then this moon zone, this moon neutral zone, created this neutral cosmical zone for this environment of planet Earth. Because Mars was destroyed, Phaeton was destroyed, we cannot allow this highly advanced technological place, this Earth, to be destroyed anymore. We need to continue its evolution. We need to look for its evolution, to carry up its evolution, and look after this evolution. A will from the godlike beings to those Anunnaki beings or so. But it was a, how you call it, the compromise, because the Anunnaki wanted their own agenda, but they still decided that, yes, okay, we have the benefits or the priority to be carrying out this evolution. And what they created then, they needed to create a single being living on this planet, and they created the first Homo sapien. And this was the funniest part by then for me. And the first Homo sapien was a brown skin, and it was a mixed genetics with the Anunnaki genetics. First Homo sapien, the first chassis model. And as Enrico said, well, in your terminologically, they were extremely dumb. primates, you say it in something in Latvian like primāti, but in English, in simple words, it would be just dumb, really dumb. And they could not care about their own survival. They were highly dumb. They were created, and really quickly they realized that this being, this Homo sapien, the first, could not overall survive because they were so dumb enough. And then they created this second Homo sapien. Really afterwards, they created this second Homo sapien chassis, you would say. And this chassis was created with ability to have logic. And what happened there was, as Enrico described, for example, the fruit grows on a tree, like a coconut something. And this logic was explained in this way that, hey, two Homo sapiens come together, hold yourself to the tree, I will step on you, I will pick down the fruit, and then we can eat. And it was okay, it was working, but again, soon they realized that this Homo sapiens species doesn't have the thinking of cause and effect, as they said, but in simple words, for us to more easily to understand, they didn't have the ability to control how much they eat and when they eat. They started to eat, and after a while, they forget that they need to eat or drink. These primates, these dumb beings, they didn't have the controlling mechanism that you feel bad, and you soon slowly die out. That you don't have the remembrance of what you should do to recall back to the eating state. And the third Homo sapien was with the ability of cause and effect, and it was a huge benefit of the illusion. At one part, they realized, as Enrico was saying, the Anunnaki realized that these beings now have the capability to survive from time to time to time. Because when they ate, they remembered that it was something beneficial. And then these genetics started to create a taste in his mouth and feeling in his stomach, I want to eat again. And prior to that, they didn't have this ability. And they didn't remember that they need to eat again. And from a time, also this cause and effect created the ability to kill. They started killing animals and started killing each other because they remembered when you kill somebody by accident, you can eat it, and then you feel beneficial, and then you started to kill again. And it created, sooner or later, it created wars and wars and wars over this planet. And which of them they realized, well, this is a part of evolution, but on the other hand, they were thinking that they will just start to kill each other. And they were like in out of balance, what should we do and what should we do? But it lasted for a long period of time, this war type of how you call it, instincts, the cause and effect, as Enrico said. And so then they created to create a fourth Homo sapien, and this was the most interesting part for me. They realized that for the first Homo sapien to carry out this evolution without destroying each other, they created the third eye. And what now I don't quite surely understand, because I have a correction which I want to ask in the channeling. Okay, battery is getting low. Okay, how much battery I have? 50 minutes. Okay, so maybe this will be a live stream, but definitely the camera on which I'm recording right now doesn't tell me the battery is low. So if this fails and I did not finish to tell everything, then I will delay this video and then post the large video from the large camera. So what happened at one point also about this cell, this with the small antenna and the core inside. This cell, as they said, is able to communicate with everything around. It communicates with the same cell as in North Pole. It can communicate with the same cell in your refrigerator. And the same cell can communicate with you and with the same cell in, for example, on Mars. And they said that this was a highly advanced technology. And they said, Enrico started telling, for example, if you are sitting next to a tree, the tree communicates with your body. And it's really important because the tree information is specially created to make your cells remember cells. Remember what is your cell purpose, who are your cells, because from time to time they forgot about the cells, forget about their own programming. They adjust to the new situation, whatever the human is living in, and it needs a plant. Every being, you and me and everybody, what I understood, you need a plant in your house. In every room you need a plant with a leaf, because it communicates with yourself subconsciously, and the cells from the plant energy remember who they are. The cells in your body remember who they are, and put your cells back to the how you call it, to the working, to the state when they realize hey, we need to work differently. We are different beings. We need to work differently. And they remember, oh yeah, I forgot who we are, and they start to adjust back to the system. And the plant lives are really important, because they said from these cells they communicate all over. And they said a tree in America communicates with a tree in Japan, for example. And this is a highly advanced technology for them. So about the fifth race of Homo sapiens, they created this third eye. This third eye is a energetical rooting in your physical body, and these Anunnaki also created this. With this third eye, they created in the human's genetics this acupuncture nerve channel system. What they said, they can easily reprogram these cells in the human, holding fingers to the certain acupuncture points. And what I saw with these Anunnaki, they have head like this on the back and cheeks lower down, and they look little lizard. And they said also, Enrico said, you have the same genetics. It's simply to tell, because when you look from a side, your spine goes like this. These are the feet, and spine goes like S, and this is the hips, another S, and the head goes to the front. They said, so lizardy. Another thing that can tell is you can put your hand like this, in front like this. This is so lizardy to them, and also the tailbone and so on. They said this is so mixed together. We have nearly maybe 30 to 50% genetics of us come from the Anunnaki, and it's so changed overall to the time. The first Homo sapiens were down dark red like brown like skins, and we have now much clearer skins. Okay, battery is getting really low. So I will finish this live stream. I will continue on the big camera. Thank you for watching, because I need to terminate the live stream because it saves the video online.